Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, and today we're going to be doing a full glam and we're going to be using the Kat Von D tattoo foundations. So let's get started. So we have our model here, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to prime. I'm going to be using the Elizabeth Arden Visible Difference Good Morning Retexturizing Primer, and this is really good just if there's any bumps or any sort of texture on the skin. It's really good at minimizing that and smoothing everything out. So just put that on your skin. You can use a beauty blender, you can use your hands, you can use a brush, whatever you want to use. Next we're going to be moving on to colour correcting under eyes, and I'm going to be using this palette, which is from Freedom. It is the Pro Conceal palette, light medium. It's super cheap, super affordable, and it blends so easily into the skin. Now look at the skin and find wherever you have any pigmentation or any marks or any spots that have any sort of colour, and get the peach shade, which is the first colour. It's a peach beige shade, and you're just going to be putting that all over the skin where you need it. Make sure you take your time with this because you don't really want to be rushing this, and slowly just press it into the skin and make sure that all of the marks are covered. You can also use this around the chin area where there's usually pigmentation, a little bit of darkness under the mouth, around the nose and under the eyes also. Next we're going to be moving on to foundation, and this is where the magic lies because we're going for the full glam, and the Kat Von D is going to do just that, so just wait and see. So the first thing I'm just doing, I'm going to be using 2 pumps, and I'm going to show you here, and I'm going to use a concealer brush just to put it on the face. And when you're doing this, you really want to work in small sections. This is because this foundation dries very quickly, and it dries matte also. So if you put it on a small area, blend it out with a beauty blender, and then move on to the next. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Make sure that you blend it in properly, and you use a damp beauty blender just to push all of the product into the skin. Remember to also take your time on this because you don't want to rush it, and you don't want to leave any streaks anywhere or leave this unblended. This foundation also dries a little bit darker than how it looks when originally put on the face. All of the shades that I'll be using, I'll put it in the description bar below so you can sort of see a colour reference. It's easier to use a brush than your finger, just so you can get really close to the nose and around the mouth, but hand feel works just fine too. The rest of the footage here is recorded in real time, and it has not been fast forwarded, so you can see exactly how much time it takes to actually do foundation. So you work in small sections and slowly build wherever you need to. So here you can see that I'm just doing the same technique that I did on the other side, on this side of the cheek, and continue doing it to the rest of the face. This does need a bit of time, and you do need to use a few minutes to just set your foundation, because you really don't want to rush your foundation because that's going to be the base of everything else. Make sure your beauty blender is damp before you do this, otherwise your product will not sink into your skin and it will just leave like a sitting layer on top, and you don't want that because then it will start to look cakey. And it's very easy to start to look cakey when you're using a high coverage foundation. So now that we have our foundation done, we can move on to concealer, and I'm going to be using the Tarte Maracuja Creaseless Concealer. I know it's a big hype on this, but it is definitely worth it, and it does not crease. I'm going to be using a small amount of this, and it's usually just one sort of pump that you push through. I know here you can see there's a little bit more than I would usually use, but trust me, you don't need to use a lot. It is very high coverage and it literally covers all marks, trust me. But I'm not going to be using it for marks, I'm only going to use it under the eyes. because it's going to give a highlighted effect. The colour I'm going to be using is light medium sand. And the same thing, I'm going to use my brush, put it exactly where I want to put it, and then I'm going to be blending it out with a beauty blender. I like to usually start on the nose before I go to the under eyes. And using the same technique that we used for the foundation, is just pressing it lightly into the skin. Make sure you stay where you've kept the highlighted areas and you don't move the product anywhere else, because we don't want it there. Again, this is a very high coverage and matte concealer, so we're going to be doing sections by sections, otherwise it's just going to start setting and caking when we don't want it to. Now to set that, I'm going to be using the Laura Mercier powder, and we're just going to be setting the under eyes with this, not the rest of the face. So getting a tapered brush, I'm using the Morphe 439. I like this brush because it gets right in the inner corner and not many brushes can do that. Next we're going to be moving on to set the rest of the face, and we're going to be using the MAC Studio Fix. This is a high coverage powder foundation which I like to use over foundation if there's any problematic skin, because it can give you a very light but slightly more coverage, so you can get that flawless finish. The rest of the makeup I've done off camera, and I'm going to be showing you how I get a natural but flawless highlight using the Inaysar Organic Foundation Serum. I squeeze a few drops on top of my beauty blender, and then I put it over the skin in the place that I want it to be. This is going to be starting off on the cheekbones, nose, chin, and above the eyebrow. This I'm going to be doing gently. I'm not trying to move any product underneath. I'm lightly dabbing it on. If it takes you a few minutes, that's fine. I'm taking the NYX highlighter from the contour palette, and I'm going to be putting that all over her nose and her cheeks. Because the serum is still wet, you want to be pressing it lightly and just dabbing it. You don't want to be doing this harsh or using a sweeping motion. You just want to slightly dab it on top in sections. Don't forget the centre of your nose and your chin area. For more of a natural highlight, it's best to put bronzer on after the highlight. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. This is the final look. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram on Suman Makeup and on Snapchat. All the information and the link to the Inaysar Organic Serum will be linked in the description bar below. So don't forget to check that out and my other vlogs. See you next time. Bye.